Hi, this is Bird from Birds SVGs, and in this video we'll be putting together the egg treat box, and that's from the Eggstravagance SVG collection. So these are the perfect size little treat boxes for filling with some treats. In the UK we have a lot of kind of Easter treats that come in 80 or 100 gram bags, and this box is perfect for holding one of those, and it kind of dresses it up a little bit more and makes it more of a gift. So first of all, you need to separate out your base pieces and your lid pieces. So you've got 4 eggs that look almost identical, but if you look at them, they are slightly, each one is slightly smaller. So you need to get the largest 2 to go with the lid and the smaller 2 to go with the base. And of the 2 that go with the lid or the base, there's one that's slightly smaller, and that goes inside and the other one goes on the outside. So I'm just putting together one of the sides of my box. So I formed it slightly with my hand, but be careful if you do that because you can cut yourself. So you can wrap it around any cylindrical item. I very often use my my glue bottle actually for wrapping things around, just to give them a bit of a gentle curve before I glue them. And then I've bent over, folded over all of my teeth, and then I'm just popping a small dot of glue on each tooth, and then with the texture side up I'm just popping in my insert layer. Now what I've done is with the bottom part of the egg shape, I've made sure that the seam on my the side of my box is right at the bottom of my egg. But obviously that's up to you. But I thought that would be the best place for it. So I've made sure that when I put that insert in, that the seam was right at the bottom edge of the shape of my egg. Right, so just add in another layer of glue and then pop in the outside layer in place. And that sandwiches the teeth in between the 2 layers, so you can't see them. So your box looks just as neat on the inside as it does on the outside. So again, I'm shaping this with my hand, which is silly because I give myself paper cuts all the time. Okay, so I'm just forming that into a circle. Then I'll bend over all the teeth and I'll add a dot of glue on each tooth on the inside. And then with my 2 egg shapes, I'll be getting the one that's ever so slightly smaller, because that's the one that goes on the inside. That's my liner layer. And I'll pop that in place, and again I'll try and be conscious of making sure that my seam is right at the bottom of my egg. So when I put my lid onto my base, both of the seams are in the same place at the bottom. It doesn't really matter where the seam is, but if you're a bit particular like I am, you know, you might want to bear that in mind when you're putting it together. Right, so again we're just going to add some glue here and pop your outside layer on, hiding all your workings away so no one gets to see the little tabs. Okay, now we're ready to pop our detail layer in place, but what I find it's easier to actually pop your box together, because that gives it a little bit more rigidity for when you're putting your detail layer on. So it's a little bit firmer for when you're kind of adding a little bit of pressure. So I'm just following all of the lines. I've got a precision tip on my glue, so it's quite easy for me to do this because I know it's quite fine. If you don't have a precision tip, just try and add some dots, at least on where each of the lattices overlap, and then around the edge, and that should be absolutely fine to hold it in place. And because it's exactly the same size as my box, I just line up the edges, and then I turned it over and I put a little bit of pressure against my desk, and that's enough for it to hold. And then, as you can see in this photo, I just took some flat back gems and I popped one on every crossover where the lattice overlaps, just to bling it up and make it look a little bit more Fabergé.